What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of TheLead Houston, where it's all Houston all the time. Today, we are going to be circling back onto the offensive line. As y'all know, we have been talking about this offensive line for the better part of the entire Texans offseason, and hell, even the Texans regular season. The O-line is going to have a microscope on it, and we are going to revisit the conversation around the offensive line multiple times. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We are going to try to reevaluate our discussions about it every single time it adheres to. And why we're talking about the offensive line, first off, I want to know, how confident are you after seeing OTAs and minicamp? Did the confidence go up just a smudge? Because if I'm being honest, it did for me. And I know that the O-line has its worries. There's concerns, and I get it. I'm still concerned about the offensive line. You should still be too. But considering what they've been saying and talking at the podium and some of the stuff we've been seeing locally as well too, the Houston Texans offensive line group, I don't know what it is, but I feel better about it right now than I did entering OTAs. And that's where I'm at, okay? I'm trying to look at it maybe more optimistically, but I cannot disclose the latest article from Aaron Wilson where he talked to Titus Howard, and Titus Howard, talking about the offensive line having a chip on their shoulder, described Cole Popovich as an offensive lines coach in one word: nasty. That is something I love to hear. I love hearing that from an offensive lineman, specifically in Titus Howard, that a lot of people were writing off, kind of just threw him into that diva label with Laramie Tunsil. Maybe rightfully so, considering, LT was kind of the veteran that put Titus Howard underneath his arm, but it definitely feels like he is taking on a leadership role with this offensive line and getting the rest of the guys to come around him to be that leader. And I have no problem with it. Titus Howard has worked this offseason, and we've seen from not only Aaron Wilson, but Cody Stutes, as well as other local media guys that have reported that Titus Howard looks a whole lot bigger in terms of his upper body. Somebody that got ready to be a guard in the offseason. That was one of the things noted in that article, was Titus Howard getting his body ready to play guard. He's no longer a tackle. He's playing right guard specifically. And for me, I'm looking at the offensive line. And again, I still feel like that five is going to be that guys going into week one. You got Cam Robinson, a left tackle, left guards, Lincoln Tomlinson, center Jake Andrews, right guard Titus Howard, right tackle Blake Fisher. I think right guard is solidified with Titus Howard, and I think you're going to get a really good year out of Titus Howard right there. Left tackle, you're going to get a pretty average to good year from Cam Robinson. I'll lean more towards the average year. After that, I'm not quite sure what else to expect. I am going to lean that you get an average year out of a veteran in Lincoln Tomlinson. Blake Fisher and Jake Andrews, to me, are two unknowns, and I still feel like Ariante Ursary still has some sort of a say when it comes to that right tackle spot. And we also heard Aaron Wilson say that, Juice Scruggs, buddy, you're going to be nowhere near to be found. You're going to be nowhere near to be found because unfortunately, it's just not working for him right now. And Jake Andrews has seemed to be the guy that has the trust from Cole Popovich, knows the system, knows Cole Popovich, knows Nick Caley, former Patriot. There is trust there already built. You can check out my video where I did talk about Jake Andrews and his relationship with Cole Popovich dating all the way back to Troy University. You can check out that short just right there. But the Texans, as you know, this offensive line, it has been concerning, it has been worrisome, and I get it. A headache throughout this whole offseason. And did the Texans do enough is always the question. Did they do something to really improve this offensive line? And honestly, they didn't. All right, but they are putting in their focus. They are putting in all the chips on the table that Nick Caley and Cole Popovich are the guys to turn around this offensive line. And so far, from what we're hearing from Titus Howard and how this offensive line has looked decently so far and holding their own pretty well enough, where I am going to lean into the Texans' idea that the coaching is going to turn this ship around, and that ultimately, if they do produce into, again, it does not have to be a good to great offensive line. Hell, I'm not even expecting that. I am expecting average offensive line play. 16th overall, in between 16th to 20. That is all I am asking from this offensive line. I understand there is a lack of talent there, but what there is a lack of talent, hopefully there is a whole nother improvement in the coaching ability there with Popovich and Nick Caley, and the ability to protection sets. CJ Stroud having more of a responsibility, getting the ball out of his hand quicker. There's ways to get around a poor offensive line. And if Nick Caley is the savant at OC that we're all hoping for him to be, you can find the ways to get the ball out quicker, to get around and play around a bad offensive line. Yes, are there going to be defense coordinators that work around that? Yes, there's plentiful, masterful defense coordinators out there in the NFL that can get around those kind of gimmick stuffs and know that, hey, they have a bad offensive line. We're going to attack it consistently. But that is up to the Houston Texans. Titus Howard talking about that they're going to be dogs and they're going to punch you in the mouth. They're going to be an offensive line that won't take no shit from nobody. In week one, they will show the rest of the NFL why they have a chip on their shoulder and why, ladies and gentlemen, this Houston Texans team could be going far into the 2025-26 season. I cannot wait to get into it a whole lot sooner than later, but unfortunately we got to keep waiting. So let me know, how far are you, how different are you on the confidence meter? How confident are you in the offensive line group? Has it changed? Are you still completely worried? Which is very fathomable. I understand why you are probably still worried. Let me know down in the comment section. I'll reply. As always, guys, go Astros, go Rockets, go Texans. You have a blessed day.